As promised earlier, we head out to the West Coast and we say hello to our buddy Herm Edwards, who joins us to talk a little football. Herm, I want to pick your coaching brain on this, and you may end up telling me this is a stupid question, but here goes. You ready?
Yes.
So if you're Cincinnati, you're going to play Kansas City on Sunday. Do you have to come with two totally different game plans? One that says Mahomes is pretty close to 100% healthy, but then another one that says he's limping around and gimping and we're going to send the kitchen sink, and this is a totally different plan.
Well, I think you have to go on how he played last week, and he played from the pocket for the most part. He did a great job. I think sometimes we forget that how great of a pocket quarterback he can be if he wants to. Now, he makes a lot of plays off script, but he can stay in the pocket and play. And with that being said, I think if you're Cincinnati, your interior rush is going to be the key. He's not going to run. He's not going to try to escape. I'd be surprised if Andy's run some boots and stuff with him. He's going to sit in the pocket. That's where he's going to be. Now, you got to rush him inside to get him off the spot. Like any quarterback is going to play from the pocket, get him off the spot, make him move, see how agile he really is. He's not 100%. We know that. Is he going to play? You bet he's going to play.
Oh, yeah, it'll take a crowbar to get him out of there.
Absolutely.
Herm, upon further review, when he got hurt, are there some things Jacksonville should have done defensively that they didn't quite do?
Well, I think Jacksonville, did the best they could do under the circumstances. They're on the road. They're playing a team that is playoff ready, that has a lot of experience in the playoffs. And this is the greatness of Mahomes, of Patrick Mahomes, and the fact that he gets hurt. He leaves. And I thought the turning point in that game was kind of interesting. When they were backed up on the -2,
yep.
Most people would think, well, they're going to run the ball now because the quarterback left. They went right back and threw it to Kittle and went on a 98-yard drive and scored. I said, game's over. Got the crowd back in it and everything else. Jacksonville was running around. They were all excited. Okay, we got a shot. Not so fast. And then, obviously, Mahomes comes back in and does a good job. And I think Jacksonville, they played their tails off. Quarterback at times missed some throws. It's a new experience for him. Trevor Lawrence is a guy that has an ascending career right now. It's ascending at a good level. Playoffs is a whole different atmosphere. And plus, you're on the road in Kansas City, a tough place to win.
I want to go to the other game and get some of your coaching stuff here. This young guy, Brock Purdy, seems to have gotten himself into a comfort level where he just doesn't look like he gets rattled. Philly's a different animal, as you know. You played there. So he's going to get all that crowd heat early. If you're Philly's defensive staff, are you sending the sink at him early, trying to see if you can rattle him and get him out of that comfort zone?
If you get him in some bad downs, if you can get him in some downs where he has to hold the ball. But this offense is predicated on a run game, play action, short passes, let the receivers and the backs catch it and run. When you think about, McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, obviously, and Ayuk, a lot of short passes. This is not a vertical passing football team for the most part. They're going to hit you in the middle of the field in seams. They're going to get the ball out fast, but it's all predicated on the run game. And when you watch that Cowboy game that the 49ers were in, they never gave up on the run. It was a tight game. One time it was 9-6 going into the third quarter, right? It was a field goal game. For the most part, Dallas decided not to kick the point after. They missed them, so it made it a field goal game. But however you want to look at that one. But it's one of those situations, I think, you're dealing with a team that has the potential of winning on the road. And I'm talking about the San Francisco 49ers because we say this in football. Good defense and a run game travel. And they can play in any kind of conditions. And this team has proven that. They won't be, they won't be frightened of Philadelphia. they're walking in there. This team has a lot of playoff experience as well now. I mean, these players have been in playoff games and in big games. Some of these players have gone to the Super Bowl. So I just think it's a great matchup of teams.
You brought up something that I noticed during the game. Early on, San Fran really didn't run with any great effectiveness.
No.
But in the middle of the third quarter, it's like something clicked. And I guess I'm asking you, as somebody who obviously didn't play football past about fifth grade, is it simply the wear and tear of you keep running, it's not working, and boom, all of a sudden, physically, something caves?
Yeah, that has something to do with it, George, as well as the adjustments. And I think halftime or adjustments are critical. What are they doing to you in the box? How do we block the players in the box? Do we have to run these plays or those plays? We make an adjustment, right? And you're right. Then all of a sudden, running's hard. And that's why most coaches get away from it, because you make 2 yards, 3 yards, and you go, man, I could throw a pass for 5. What am I doing this for? But all it does, it slows down the rush of the opponent. It makes the linebackers play closer to the line of scrimmage. And then once you play action pass, there's nobody 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. They're all at the line of scrimmage now. And you got wide open plays. That's why you see some of these plays hit. You go, why is that guy wide open? Look, these guys are worried about the run now. I mean, they're getting worn out playing this run. It's a physical game with inside that box. And most coaches will give up on it because they're not making yards right away. But you wear them down methodically. You stay on the field. You continue to make first downs. Look, that's the Cincinnati game against Buffalo, George. That game was over in the first quarter. In the first quarter was over. I'm watching that game, and I'm watching Cincinnati. Listen to this. They were averaging 6 yards a play on first down. I'm going to say it again, 6 yards. Well, do the math. You got 2 downs to make a first down. The first 2 possessions, they never got the third down. They had 30 first downs. The game was over.
Yep. Okay, here comes another dumb question, but here goes. In the college game, as you know, you've got 20 minutes at halftime.
Yes.
So I can see where you could really go in, you can take a deep breath and say, okay, here's where we're getting our butt kicked. This is what we got to do. But on the pro level, you've got 12 minutes, and by the time you get there, probably about 11. Can you really make serious halftime adjustments in the NFL?
You can, because remember this, you're taking pictures of every play. So those players are going over to that sideline looking at the pictures. So you're talking to them already. You're talking as the game's going on. Look, what did they do this series? They did this. What did they do on this down? They did this. So you're gathering information. I always say this. The sideline is a place where you gather information as a player. You gather information after every series. So the time you get to halftime, them coaches, when they leave that box, they're sprinting to that locker room. And the time you get your water and do what you got to do and stand before that coach when he's getting ready to go on the blackboard and say, offense here, defense there, this is what we're doing, they have a pretty good idea on the adjustments that need to be made. Remember, they've played a half of a game now. They've played at least 25 plays. Whatever you're doing on both sides of the ball, that's what you're doing. So you already got the formula. This is what they're doing. How do we adjust? Because you have the ability to look at the pictures and go through it series after series with the players, especially the quarterback on the sideline.
Okay, I want you to meet Michael Cindric. Michael is from Arlington, Texas. He's a big Cowboys fan.
You know what? You didn't have to tell. You said Arlington, Texas. That's all you got to say. Them Cowboys. How about them dead gum Cowboys?
Hey, if you'll tell him the Cowboys suck, I'll give you $1.
No, I'm not going to say that, because you know what? This is what I'm going to say. They actually had a good year.
They did. They did.
And see, we want to beat the Cowboys up, and that's Jerry's fault. That's Jerry's fault. It really is, because when you think about, and it's his fault in this sense. I love Jerry Jones. He is great for the NFL. He is an ambassador for football, but he is like Ringling Brothers Circus. He talks so much every day. Look at it. Think about it. He has a press conference before the head coach. Think about that. After the game, you talk to Jerry before you talk to the head coach. And there is so much pressure. And Jerry didn't know how fortunate he was when he won those 3 in a row, right? when he had the triplets down there. He thought it was easy. You know, sometimes that can be a curse. And it's been a curse for a long time.
He's learned since.
Right? And it's just been a curse. And it's kind of funny because it's, you know, we say it's America's team. Look, I get it. I get it. I played in that conference. And I can remember when they built that luscious stadium when I was playing, they said, we're going to leave a hole in the roof because God wants to watch his team. I said, boy, you guys really going for now. And so you think about the Cowboys, you know, we work for the worldwide leader, as you know. And I told those guys, if the Cowboys win this game last week, I said, this studio is going to blow up. It's just, we ain't going to know what to do, right? And whether they win, lose, or draw, one of the first leads we have is what? We talk about the dadgum Cowboys, right?
That's exactly right.
Because Jerry's done a great job. That football team played well this year. They won a playoff game. And that's what I said a month ago before they got in the playoffs. I said, we're always talking about these guys' a record. And I said, it ain't the record. It's what do they do in the playoffs?
Yeah.
They were 1-15 before that first playoff. They were 1-15, right? And so they win a playoff game. Then you go play a team, the San Francisco 49ers, on the road. It's 9-6. They didn't get blown out. And they can blame it on Dak. Say, well, Dak didn't do this. He's making all this money. Look, he needs some help.
Yeah.
He needs some help. He can't do it by himself, right? So we'll see. We'll see. But that's my take on the Cowboys.
Coach, I love it. You hit about half my questions right there. That was great. that was awesome right there. It's you know, the sad thing too is you're really only judged by your last performance. Unfair or fair. You know, it's the sad thing about, you know, TCU this year, national title. I mean, had a great season. What does everyone remember him for? Getting drilled by Georgia. That's the ruthless part of the game. And that's what the Cowboys faced, being in the national media, you know, the darling or the most hated team.
Well, I tell you what's worse than what they had to go through. Now they'll get back. They're gonna be fine. They were 4-2, just like the Eagles were in the division. They're 4-2 football team in the division. That's important. Can you win your division? They'll have an opportunity to win that division. You lose games in the playoffs, there's a finality of it. You know, you spend all the offseason, all these things building up your team to get to the playoffs. Once you get in the playoffs, you're excited. It's like the tournament. But then when you lose, it's like, whoa. But I'll tell you one worse than losing a playoff game is losing the Super Bowl. And I lost one of those. And it took me, well, I tell you, be quite honest, I lost my Super Bowl against the Raiders. And from that day forward, I never watched a Super Bowl game.
Wow.
I refused to watch the game. If I wasn't playing in it, I wasn't going to watch it. And when I retired, I wouldn't watch Super Bowl. And the only reason I started having to watch it again is because I work for the worldwide leader. That's the only reason.
Wow.
So I got a comment because, yeah, if you don't watch it, coach can't comment. I said, true. But my girls still suffer today. They still suffer today. When they were growing up, little kids, and they had parties, you know, they have balloons and we get all this stuff. And about 4 or 5 years go by and they asked me, said, Daddy, we like confetti. And I said, no confetti. See, because people don't realize when you walk out of that stadium, the winner and the loser walk through the confetti. The winner is joyful. There's snow bunnies on the turf. The losers, that confetti's hitting you all in the face, man. You're walking to the locker room, you just lost Super Bowl. I still don't like confetti. Don't want nothing to do with confetti. Don't bring it around me. I don't want to look at it.
That's awesome.
So, Michael,
that's great.
Do you see why I want to have him on?
Oh, man, I love it.
Because he can make some of the most mundane stuff really fun.
Talk about confetti.
No, you know, and I'm gonna tell you this secret too. When I grew up as a kid, the only team I wanted to play for was the Cowboys. Tom Landry and the Cowboys. Bob Hayes was my guy. Bullet Bob Hayes. I said, man, I want to play for the Cowboys. College, I want to play for the Cowboys. I go to Philadelphia. After 1 week, I said, guess what? I can't like the Cowboys anymore.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It's just one of them deals, man. It's just one of them deals. And I don't disrespect them at all. I don't. Absolutely. Because I think they got a fine football team. They really do. But it's just one of those deals. When you play the Cowboys, it's different because they have national attention. They're almost like a New York team, right? They're like the Lakers.
Right.
When the Lakers play bad, it don't matter. They're the Lakers.
Yeah. Everybody feels
Talk about
one way
Lakers.
about the
Well,
Cowboys.
in football, no matter what happens, you're going to talk about the Cowboys.
Right, right. Everyone's got an opinion on them. You either love them or you hate them. That's just
That's
kind of
right.
how it is.
That's right.
Coach, if you got time, I'd love to ask you a couple questions just
Sure.
about some other teams other than the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's been heartbreak city for me last week, but I guess we'll stick with the Eagles, stick in the division. Talk to me a little bit about Jalen Hurts, Coach, if you can. You know, when I watched him in college, I
Yeah.
wasn't blown away by his passing ability. Saw really good talent.
Yep.
But when I've seen him at the Eagles, you know, I can't tell. And Coach, I'd love just your perspective on this. Has he just progressed that much as a thrower of the football? How much of it is that, and how much of it is the Eagles putting him in really good spots, getting talent around him? AJ Brown, Miles Sanders. Just talk to me a little bit about what you see with Jalen Hurts, and you know how much of that is scheme and how much of that is talent.
Well, scheme has to fit the player that's playing the position, right? And that's critical at the quarterback position. What are you going to allow the player to do to become comfortable and to be more successful? Because he's your quarterback. And they've done that. They built an offense where he's done some RPOs. He does some things. He gets it out quick. But I like his progression as far as him throwing the football down the field. He's become more accurate, more reliable. And that's the improvement. That's what got him into this MVP conversation, right? Because we've all witnessed it. And there's been a progression. His poise, his leadership ability, go without question. We get all that. But him playing the position from the pocket when he has to throw it, and obviously on the edges, he can do that and create. But it's an offense built for him. There's no doubt about that. And you know, I've seen a lot of coaches get hired and owners hire them and they say, well, I want to run your system. But you don't bring those players where you just left. They don't come with you. So you got to evaluate the players on your team and say, look, we got to be able to do this. This is what happened to Trevor Lawrence, right? I mean, Peterson, Doug got in there and said, look, I got a certain system, but I got to tweak this thing to make him successful. So that's the case with Jalen.
Yeah, absolutely. And last question, it's kind of two-part. The first is, I just love to hear from you as a coach, just what do you see in Joe Burrow that, I mean, obviously he's an incredible talent, but what makes him so special that you see that some people might not even notice when you watch him play? I would love to just hear your, analysis on him and just what elevates him.
Yeah.
And then also, I'll let you do that one first. Then I'll
okay. Well, Joe, it's kind of interesting. All those Joes are pretty good quarterbacks. Last time I checked, you start going to Joe list of guys that won Super Bowls, right? But for him, his ability to process information, in other words, read your mail, and then make quick decisions with the ball and getting the ball out of his hand, his accuracy, and his touch. He has tremendous touch and really plays great from the pocket. Not like he can't leave the pocket. And I said this on a couple of shows. I was on a couple of shows earlier this week. Reminds me a lot of Joe Montana from the pocket with his accuracy, but really a catchable ball. He throws a catchable ball. You saw it against Buffalo in bad conditions.
Right.
He knew what to take off the ball. He knew when he had to lob it. He knew when he had to throw it hard. I mean, he does all that, and he stays pretty calm. He's a calm player. The game's not too big for him. The lights aren't too big for him.
Absolutely. And I guess last question, the Bengals the last couple of years with Joe Burrow have kind of come in as these underdogs of this.
Yeah.
It's us against everybody. We're going to go into Tennessee and win. We're going to go into Buffalo this year, into Kansas City. Eventually the public's got to catch on that this team is legit. They're not some darling underdog.
Yeah.
But as a coach, does the mindset change at all when you come into a game and it's kind of us against everybody? You're playing with house money to win. The next couple of years with Joe Burrow, I don't think anyone's going to be sleeping on any Joe Burrow-led team. Talk to me a little bit just as the mind of a coach and how you control that with a team as well. I mean, they've got to feel that as well.
Well, you use it. You make light of it sometimes. You kind of nick at them a little bit. Hey, guess what these guys said? I'm just saying, and you just kind of walk away from it. And the players look at you. So you kind of use it as fuel. But this team doesn't need any fuel. Look, this team, as Joe Burrow said, somebody asked him, "Well, what do you think your window is?" He said, "My whole career." Good answer. Yeah, and he's right.
Yeah,
he's exactly right. And you're going to have to deal with this football team. And everybody knows it. You're going to have to deal with Joe Burrow in this football team. and they're gonna get better. They're gonna get more. The more you enter playoff competition, the more comfortable it becomes for you and your players. It's not your birthright, but once you start going back-to-back playoffs, eventually, now I say that, and the Buffalo Bills lost 4 of them, but they kept getting back in, right? You just, that's your destiny.
Yep.
And you can actually say it because you've done it. A lot of teams say, hey, look, we want to get in the playoffs. Yeah, you know what? A lot of them say it, but by week 8, you kind of know we ain't going, right? And so, but there's certain teams you look at and go, okay. I mean, look, this season will end, and we'll be predicting what teams are going to make the playoffs, what teams are going to win their division. We already know 6 of them, right?
Right.
And the season ended. I mean, it's like when Captain America was on his roll, I said, it's Captain America and it's the field. He's getting in. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. I said, that's Captain America. He got a cape on, man. It's Captain America. That's what he is. That's Tom Brady. It's Captain America. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you what's going to happen.
Yep.
I don't know.
Herm, you are hilarious. Thank you as always.
Thank you guys. We got some games, boy. I tell you what, it's some good football, man. This is going to be fun.